Hey Team Cornwall, Curtis here with the Save Cornwall campaign. It's been a long few months since the last update, but several things have been brewing behind the scenes, and we finally have some substantive information to share regarding the current status of our efforts to save Cornwall. Ultimately, there's good news and not so good news. Let's discuss the good news first. The geotechnical analysis completed on the Cornwall Dam several months ago has concluded that there is no imminent danger of dam failure. Essentially, the condition of the dam has not changed significantly since the previous analysis from back in 2019. This means that there will not be a drawdown of the flooding this year, and that is fantastic news. We now have some breathing room to work with in our efforts to ultimately preserve the flooding long into the future. Remember, our campaign kicked off back in January with the initial press release from the DNR stating that they would be drawing down the flooding this fall. The fact that our collective campaign efforts have had a significant impact in reversing that decision is a victory that we can all celebrate, and I want to thank every single person who's had any part in this effort. From vehicle stickers to yard signs, posters, and banners, it's tough to travel anywhere in northern Michigan without seeing our Save Cornwall message on display. The engagement and participation of thousands of people on social media, as well as the support of our northern Michigan legislators, including State Representatives Cam Cavett and Ken Borton and Senator John DeMoose, has been huge. Had we not banded together and made our collective voices heard, the drawdown of the flooding would likely already be underway. And now, there will be no drawdown this fall, and that is fantastic news. Now, for the not so good news. We've been waiting for the past several weeks for the last opportunity of the year to potentially receive state funding for Cornwall repair. For those who've not been following closely or have recently joined our campaign, our legislative efforts over this past spring and summer to get Cornwall included in the state budget for 2024 were unsuccessful, as funding was voted down in both the Department of Natural Resources Appropriations Subcommittee as well as the General Appropriations Committee. Now, while it was extremely disappointing to see that funding option fall victim to partisan politics, we did have one final state funding opportunity for this year. The Fisheries Division of the Department of Natural Resources, the owner of the dam, stepped up to the plate in a huge way and requested funding themselves from the state budget office to be included in an October supplemental funding bill. Disappointingly, last week, that request from the DNR was denied by the state budget office. So, if there is an October supplemental spending bill voted on in Lansing, Cornwall funding will not be included as a part of that bill. So, where does this leave us? Well, fortunately, the good news of no drawdown this fall does leave us with one thing: time. At this point, it's highly likely that we have at least until next spring before the Michigan Department of Environment, Great Lakes and Energy, EGLE, could potentially begin to apply pressure on the DNR for action regarding the dam at Cornwall. So we have a little time to work with. Our only remaining hurdle at this point is funding. We're still looking at options to determine our best possible funding avenues moving forward, and we'll be sharing more info about those in the coming weeks. For now, we can breathe easy, knowing that the flooding is safe through the remainder of this fall and winter, as we continue to work toward ultimate solutions. In closing, I want to leave you with a video presentation that we've put together that highlights exactly what it is we're fighting for. Many members of Team Cornwall had a part in making this presentation happen. Too many people to name, but you know who you are, so thank you. This is what we're fighting for, and we're not stopping till the job is done.
The Pigeon River Country State Forest, spanning Sheboygan, Otsego, and Montmorency counties, is the largest block of contiguous, undeveloped state land in the Lower Peninsula. At over 110,000 acres, This wilderness stands alone as home to the state's only wild elk herd. Due to its unique nature, the forest is managed differently than others around the state. The Department of Natural Resources, in collaboration with the Pigeon River Country Advisory Council and the Natural Resources Commission, adopted a unique concept of management, a guiding document to establish the management principles and conservation practices necessary to protect and preserve this wild place. In the heart of this Pigeon River Country State Forest, you'll find Cornwall Creek flooding, a 176-acre body of water, pristine habitat for the most diverse species population in all the state forest. Cornwall is unique in many different ways. First, it's regulated by the DNR as a non-motorized water body. No speedboats, no jet skis, no gas boat motors of any kind. Combine this with the state forest's strict regulation on ORV usage, and you create a quiet, serene, and peaceful outdoor setting that's better experienced than described. Second, the wildlife habitat here is unmatched. Visitors to the flooding often experience elk, bear, eagles, loons, swans, geese, ducks, and more. Not to mention the world-class bluegill fishery beneath the surface of the water. Combining all of these features together creates a pure Michigan experience that quite literally can't be replicated anywhere else in the state. And this fact is what draws outdoor enthusiasts and adventurers of all types. Kayakers and canoeists, campers, hikers, bikers, bird watchers, photographers, anglers, hunters, and equestrians travel from all across the state to experience the unique nature and ecosystem present at Cornwall. In 2019, the Michigan Department of Environment, Great Lakes, and Energy gave Cornwall Creek Dam a condition assessment of poor, recommending that repairs be made to the 57-year-old structure. A legislative appropriation was passed to fund the repair project, and engineering work was completed. Unfortunately, the onset of COVID caused construction costs to skyrocket, and the project stalled when the appropriated funding fell short of received project bids. With COVID now in the rearview mirror, the repair project at Cornwall is a high priority for the Michigan Department of Natural Resources to ensure that this unique recreational location can be preserved and experienced for generations to come.